Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Focus on Liberia. This is Roundtable Africa, your favorite show. I am Sekou Kele, your host here with my co-host Edward Amara, and we are bringing you today, as usual, stories that made headlines in Africa. Your favorite show every Wednesday. Edward Amara, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much,
Stories
Kelly.
that made headlines in Africa. Your favorite show every Wednesday. Edward Amara, welcome to the show.
Thank you very
Thank you
much,
very
Kelly.
much. Stories that made headlines in Africa. Your favorite show every Wednesday. Edward Amara, welcome to the show. Edward, I think you'll go back and come in. Something is happening. It's going to echo. Stories that made headlines in Africa. Your favorite show every Wednesday. Yeah, sorry, there we have some technical problem. I think Edward will have to go out and come back in. So, folks, this is the 56th edition of your favorite show, Roundtable Africa, here at Focus on Liberia. And we are bringing you interesting stories today, stories, that made headline across Africa. The first one here is Mali scheduled presidential poll for February 2024. We are going to deal with that. Why did they change the date? It seems like the pressure from the international community and ECOWAS is kind of making impact. So, second story here: dozen arrested in Ghana's cost of living protest. So, Ghanaians are protesting for the cost of living under the leadership of President Nana Akufo-Addo, and many have been arrested instead of addressing the issue. This is, as usual, the African mentality. So, we have here UN chief shocked by Morocco migrant violence. So, over the weekend, we heard, or during the week, about, I don't know, 200 or so migrants, or I don't know the exact number. I think Edward will help us here. A good number of African, West African, and then Central African migrants were killed in Morocco by the Moroccan government. So much indeed for Pan-Africanism of North Africa. Oh, they are our brothers. Oh, we are friendly with North Africans. So they kill them. They murder our people. And we keep telling you that we and the Arabs are not on the same page. And this is the example that Morocco just showed to you guys by murdering your people because of their skin color. We will discuss that as well. Here, why ex-French colonies are joining the Commonwealth. As you may have heard, Gabon, Togo, and other French nations are joining the Commonwealth, the British so-called Commonwealth, and we will talk about that as well. Edward Amara is back in here. Edward, welcome back. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can get you loud and clear. I think it was re-echoing.
Right. Now it's much better. So I have did a quick recap of all the headlines. So without wasting time, Edward will go into the first topic of the day. Mali scheduled presidential poll for February 2024. What changed?
This is very interesting. We all know West Africa is facing an upheaval of coup d'etat. Military takeover has definitely undermined the peace, the unity, and the development this region used to face or used to enjoy. And it has been compounded by COVID 19. Now we have seen, because of political instability into places like Mali, and like with the what a frequent attack of ISIL and Al Qaeda network, French being taken out of the country because of the military submission. Now we are now seeing the junta regime into Mali, which frequently changes their time to return to civilian democracy. Since Amani Tumani Ture was overthrown, Abubakar Keita, popularly known as IBK, came in. He was being overthrown through a popular protest led by the M16. Now we are seeing the military taking full control over the country. But we all know how unpredictable, very controversial, and maybe not developmental oriented the military normally is. They have changed the election process in Mali on several occasions. ECOWAS normally, when they overthrow, they have their priority statement that they normally condemn and they ask that particular country at least to return to military rule in a period of 1 year, 6 month time. Unfortunately, Mali under Gatta has changed it on several occasions. One of the submissions that is given, watching at Mali, how the situation is currently. Mali is now living in the politically volatile situation. In essence, here, the French have pulled out. Then COVID-19 have taken toll over the country. Then Mali is not politically stable. They are fighting insurgent war. So they thought initially that elections should be conducted in 2023. But because of COVID-19, economic collapse, the departure of the French troops, and they think that the timing of 2023 election is not definitely suitable. And except if they decide to push it down to February 2024, maybe they have the right to buy public sympathy. Maybe according to them, they will mobilize the resources, stop the frequent insurgency into the country. They have maximum control. And mind you, Mali, maybe if Goethe had known that Russia would have gone into war with Ukraine, they wouldn't have just taken out the French. But they rely on Russia deeply for certain support. Now, Russia will not come in militarily, even its time of spending their natural resources. We all know they are facing series of sanctions. So the military want to use this as a cover up. Now they are postulating, if not giving up examples like this. Elections time normally change under junta regime, and they use this to establish themselves into power. Maybe even try to present a sort of political situation that nobody will encourage democracy. And Mali is one of the few countries where election, even when election is taking place, under the election, under when Amadou Toumani Touré was elected, not every part of the country voted. When IBK was elected, not many of the part of the country voted. Not all part of the country voted. Even when the election that he was being driven out of power because he claimed that he supported certain parliamentarians who did not win the election, not every part of the country voted. So Mali, you may have a government that is allegedly governing the entire country, but not everybody is going definitely could take part into that election. So given certain lapses that are very precedented, now they want to capitalize on it that there will not be election because of those things. We are not even certain that Russia war is going to end soon, and we are not certain how long COVID-19 is going to maintain its toll on us. And even when you watch a certain like because you can buy their idea one or two ways. If you want to conduct election under this smoke, the COVID-19, oil prices are spiking. You need to get certain things out of the country. And when the country does not even have that enough capital to control their own transportation system, maybe they deem it necessary with the prevailing circumstances that are into this war. In 2023, it's definitely not going to be a suitable time, and they have finally come up with this thing. We are listening to ECOWAS, even ECOWAS that are condemning, urging Mali to conduct election as early as possible for them to return to civilian rule. They may not support Mali financially, and Mali does not rely on any other place to support them with the exception of Russia. Maybe France, they are falling out with France. America does not have all of those things. So these are some of the lapses.
Definitely, they are brilliant analysis. Like you rightly said, we can summarize everything into just two, subheading. The first is the internal problem of Mali itself. Is causing a lot of problem, and the external factors also should be looking at. The internal factor, like you've already mentioned, economically, Mali is not that good. They don't have the COVID-19 and other things have affected the local economy, the local production, and all those things have been hindered. And then now you have the sanctions that were imposed on them. So that is badly killing the economy. And the country is a poor country. This is what we need to understand. They don't have that strong military infrastructure. They don't have the strong institutions already. So you're expecting these people to face high sophisticated jihadists who are sponsored by millions and hundreds of millions of dollars, for God knows where these people get their sponsor from. There is speculation out there that the Western world even sponsored them. Some claim that the Saudi, Qataris, billionaires, individual are sponsors of the terror group. You see, terrorist group, one thing people need to understand, the fact that they are fighting for their religion, yes, but they are also thugs used by very powerful elements around the world. You see, sometimes they are used by the West, sometimes they are used by billionaires in the Saudis government, they are used by Qataris. That's why these guys are so rich. No matter how you fight them for 10, 20, 100 years, they always have way to buy new weapons, and European made weapons for that matter. So Mali does not have the economic base to face the terrorists. Let's be realistic. If West Africa don't rally around Mali, if they don't help Mali, the state of Mali will collapse. These guys, in as much as they have good intention, they are Pan-Africans, they are nationalists, I support them, but they do not have the economic base. They don't have it to be able to stand the terrorists and to be able to run the state. The external factor is the colonial factor, which France is capitalizing on. France is having some bourgeoisie in that country whom they are using to protect their interests. France is not there to protect Mali. France is there to maintain its own military base and to protect its own interest in the sub-region. So the fact that Mali is trying to be rebellious to the colonial power, they are trying to punish Mali. And guess what? They got all the top dogs around West Africa to help them do this. Ivory Coast, Senegal, and all these countries are still controlled by France. And these countries will be used to destabilize and destroy Mali and cripple the Malian economy. So it's difficult for Mali for us to survive, especially when West African economic bloc is not even helping. They are not in the interest of Africans, neither are they in the interest of any Malian citizen. They are in the interest of France and the European Union. So it'll be difficult for Mali to survive this. I think it's a brilliant idea, Edward, for them to go for elections, elect a civilian government, and let's see. But people skeptics believe that another civilian government will be the return of French control, the return of the status quo, and then the jihadi will never go away. It will just be another French bringing back their military base and Mali being another francophone country for another decade to come. That's all. That's all going to happen. You see? So
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
We don't expect any after election. No.
Any civilian government into Mali that does not buy the sympathy, or that the military has not been able to buy its sympathy, will never be stabilized. And normally, French coming, because we are now having a military. France have little saying into the current administration of Mali. It is because they are having a junta regime. So if you have a kind of civilian government in Mali now, then France will definitely come in to control the system. So it's a two-way. We may think that the military is actually the wrong type of government to rule any other country, but allowing a civilian government to rule Mali, we allow the dominance. I will just give France the green light to totally dominate the system. And that civilian government will not last long because the military is definitely not going to support it. Maybe France's manipulation into the system has just created a total havoc. And unfortunately, Mali have now faced a total volatile situation where a government can be installed today, change tomorrow, and you allow civilians to come in, France dominate, you allow the military to come in, sanctions, then ECOWAS, abandonment, one or two things. So it is just space with it. Is
definitely
depth, the Red Sea and the depth.
Because when you look at it critically, in as much as we criticize them for kind of suspending democratic institutions and democratic practices, we criticize them for that. But when you look at it, their nationalist activities have been very helpful. First of all, they were able to point out the hypocrisy of France. They pointed out that France was working hand to hand with the terrorists that they are pretending to fight. They even uncovered documents with France making concession to the terrorists that they might eventually divide Mali into two countries and give the northern part to the terrorists. So France was in negotiation with the terrorists without the consent of the state of Mali. France was operating certain part of Mali, and they were not allowing French soldiers to operate in those areas. So they were like colonizing the country right before our eyes. So these guys were able to bring sanity into the system, tell France that we are going to be at the driver's seat of our own destiny. You can come to our country with our sovereignty, and you overstep your bounds. You come here as a guest. We invited you, so you take instruction from us. You don't come here and give us instruction on our own territory. Then we are no longer in charge of our country. So they were able to instill that confidence in the people, so that the people will have confidence in their own leadership. So for me, this is something powerful that they have done. But the problem with African democracy is that the institutions are so weak that they are used as neo-colonial agents against the people. This is the democracy we have in Africa. Most of our institutions are compromised and they are used against the people. The only time we have a real nationalist government is when soldiers come to power. This is a big problem that we must also face and criticize democratic institutions in Africa. So for me, Mali, go back to democracy, but it's a return of France and the control of the Western world. That's just all we're going to witness. So let's take us to the second topic here, Edward. Doesn't arrested in Ghana cost for living protest? Now, give us a background here. I understand when COVID-19 started, there were protests in Ghana. I think they called the protest "Fix the Country." They said "Fix the country" because they felt that things were getting bad, food was getting expensive. And Nana Akufo-Addo was saying, you can't blame my government. This is a global issue, a global economic collapse due to COVID-19. But many critics have said that Nana Addo is embarking on a ridiculous project to build a national cathedral costing $1 billion because he had a dream or whatever he promised God that if he becomes president, he's going to build a national cathedral. And in a country where people are hungry, $1 billion is being spent to build a house for a God in heaven. Explain this to me, Edward.
Oh, maybe stupid ideology, because even the Bible, God does not God does not create a situation where people will feel so burdened, so insecure, so uncomfortable in any church. We are watching at Ghana. Before this time, I totally agreed. Ghana was doing economically well. They were Bible, competing with few of the African countries. John Dramani Mohammed ruled Ghana for 4 years. Akufo-Addo took over because he criticized him for poor economic investment. Now we are seeing fix the country protest. It was a high starch, popularly carried out in Ghana. They left. And Ghana is a well sensitized and conscientized society where you have majority. I'm not saying illiteracy is not found in Ghana, but their own illiteracy is not as high compared to that of Sierra Leone and Liberia. And economically, in terms of infrastructure development, their gap is wider than ours. Though arguably their population is bigger than us, and the country is also bigger than us. But even when it comes to economic thing, they are stronger than Sierra Leone and Liberia. Fix the country economy was there. The campaign vigorously against John Drama, or against this man Akufo-Addo government. He promised to do certain things. Now look at this type of investment, undertaking it in this type of dire need when the entire world is in economic crisis. Fear prices are spiking, and fear is a competitive good. Each time the price of fear spike up, it affects the basic needs or the basic commodity for man. It affects everything because fear deals with transportation. And each time transportation prices go up, it affects almost everything. Ghana, like any other country, is living on donor-driven economy, and most of what they consume is being imported. They only have few things to export, and their GDP will not be not speak strongly compared to the Western world. Nana Akufo-Addo, that greatest mistake, to come and construct a synagogue, a kind of church for God, then at the detriment of the life of your own citizen, who do you want to go and worship over there? Will you think that God is actually happy for you to undertake certain projects? Are you using corrupt money, depriving your own citizens to ensure that will you appease God? How will you appease God when those whom? Because leadership from the book of Romans 13, it tells leadership comes from God. And that same Bible also preaches to you that You must fight in the interest of your own citizens, and your citizens ought to accord you respect. Because in the world we have three G's: God, government, and God. But you are their immediate solution. You sign a social contract with them. Ask him, why are you? People are grumbling now because of the spike of fuel prices. Food is definitely, that is why they are protesting, because of the cost of living. The cost of living has definitely been affected because they do not have control over fuel prices. I accept that. But look at the $1 billion project that Nana is undertaking. That money would have been injected into the government, maybe it would have created employment. Then at the same time, that money would have been used to subsidize the fuel and do one or two things. But instead, he has used it to deprive the people and claim that he's appeasing God. How can you appease God when your people are not happy with you? Even the Bible says it in the book of Matthew, chapter 3, 4, 5. It tells you that if you come to pray to God and you know that you have problem with your family, or we end up, go first and make peace with that person. Because you will not be praying to God and killing people at the same time, destroying life and property. People are protesting against him because of the wrong investment that he is undertaking. He has undertaken and is still undertaking wrong investment into the country. Now, you have dozens of graduates, over 1,000 of graduates in Ghana who left college, left university, they are without employment. Then you're having a so-called government who is investing on religious. Do you think that God will forgive you? Or is it because he has corrupted a lot of things, thinking that if he build a temple, a synagogue, or a church of God, God will forgive him because of that? No, people are suffering into Ghana. And they are asking him, we are not protesting because we want to protest against you. Rather, we are protesting because of the cost of living. And the cost of living, that is the last strength of the common man. Because investment like that cannot be undertaken under a situation where you have the entire world going on an economic crisis. It is definitely not a prudent idea. He took the investment. Maybe he's a right thing. Anybody want a knago? But that type of wrong investment. We have churches into Ghana. Why must government be? It does it want to make a what? Ghana like no, Ghana is a secular state. In fact, it can even be religious process or whatsoever. It is because that he's a Christian that you want to do that. Ghana, you have Muslims. He's dividing the country. Can't he study what is happening today in Nigeria and other countries? In fact, this is the wrong investment, choosing the wrong title, doing it at the wrong time. The people are not even appreciating it. Look at those protesters. Both Christians and Muslims are protesting against him. Why don't you think that if people were actually looking at his own sentiment, I think they would have come out, it would have been a protest against Muslims and Christians. But it is a protest against the government. Both you two who are there protesting against this particular investment and calling for the Ghanaian government to at least do investment into the human population that create employment, provide and subsidize certain things. They are doing it to save their own life. It is a clear indication that the project that is undertaken has been disapproved by the people. It is not the social contract that is signed with them. But you see our politicians, they do not study the prevailing circumstances. Sometimes they borrow their brains while they were campaigning. And just after the campaign, they will take another, their real brain come with it and take another, the brain that will lead the country into a total destruction. They would not implant it, put it into their skull, and they start mismanaging. And in Africa, everything is just going bad and what. And Ghana per se, that Ghana is one of the stable countries into Africa. They have a disciplined democracy. They do not go into. I'm not saying protests do go over there, but it is not like Kapuado is pushing the country into a situation that we may start to see another thing. Maybe honestly speaking, this is a very wrong investment done at the and differently. He wants to bring religious crisis into Ghana and doing it at the very wrong time. Now they're asking for what? At least, even in Sierra Leone, there, for you to even set eyes on a liter of fuel, which is cost around $2 to $3 for a liter of fuel. And the pump price is just a bit above $1, but nothing is available. So how can a government which has the people at heart to come and do certain massive investment into a religious institution at this time that the entire world is in dire need? I think this is a very wrong investment. He has not gone too far. He still have the time to change it. But honestly speaking, I think this is definitely one of the wrong policy, and if it doesn't take time, like his predecessor, John Dramani Mohammed served for 4 years and he was kicked out, he will definitely go. But you are watching that Ghana, you only have two parties. Either this one, the ruling party. Sometimes we even think that Africa, most African state, is a two-party state because you may think that it's a multi-party democracy, but only two political parties are very strong. So one is either in power or in opposition. So it's the same failed agenda, same failed policy, and we are not doing anything on our own.
Definitely, brother. I agree with you. But let's look at this. It seems that there's a pattern here when it comes to incompetence of African leaders, and somehow how they forget their mandate, their dream, their promise, the social contract that they sign with the people. Felix Ufwe-Boigny, let's go to the neighbor of Ghana. Between 1980 to 1990, he built the biggest cathedral in the world, the Basilique de Notre Dame in Yamoussoukro. And but when this man came to power in the 60s, he came out as the father of the independence, and then he built the economy based on agriculture. He was supplying France and rest of the Europe with cocoa beans, and that kind of fueled his economy. And he started building few infrastructure. Everybody praised him to be one of the progressive leader in the sub-region. But Ufwe-Boigny, same thing with this religious sentiment that he had a promise to God that if he eventually, comes to power, he spent nearly at that time, okay, he spent nearly $500 million to build a church just because he wanted to invite Pope John Paul to come to Ivory Coast in the 90s. He built that church in the middle of people who are practicing African spirituality. His people, 87% of them, the Baoulé, were practicing African spirituality. In the middle of those people, he went and built the biggest Catholic church in the world. What happened? The Pope visited that place only once. That building is laying down there. The maintenance for that building alone is hundreds of thousands of dollars to maintain it. Nobody is visiting there. Zero tourists going to that place. The biggest, and nobody even talks about it. When Europeans are mentioning the great cathedral in the world, you hardly hear about this cathedral built by in Yamoussoukro by Felix Ufwe-Boigny. It's the biggest. And nobody cares about it. It's languishing there in the bush. And the infrastructure are destroyed gradually, and they don't have the money to maintain it. Now, in fact, what happened after he built that church? The Ivorian economic collapse in the 90s. Because if you convert that $500 million at that time to a current currency, you speak of more than 1.5 billion. He used that to build a cathedral. The Ivorian economic collapse after that, this is how Ouattara even came in to fix the economy, and the long story. Now we are in 2022. This man that came to power as an intellectual, as a man who have traveled wide, as a man who have studied abroad, he understands everything. Nana Akufo-Addo, you want to take $1 billion to build a house for God? Somebody said he should take the money from his pocket. Now, this is what I can do with $1 billion in a West African nation. I can diversify the power sources, because when you have power today in a country, industries will come. With $1 billion, you can invest into power. You can fix your hydro. You can just use different sources of power. You can use the hydro. You can use solar. You can use different sources of power and make sure that you have enough electricity in the country. You can even supply some other West African country. With $1 billion, Nana Akufo-Addo, you could build the infrastructure of Ghana. Ghana is so small. All the highways, all the roads, you can build modern roads in Ghana with $1 billion. With $1 billion, you can be able to establish an agricultural project that will make Ghana food sufficient and be able to supply the entire West African country with food. You will not be crying in Ukraine right now that there is a shortage of grain because there's a war in Russia. With $1 billion, you can transform the health sector in Ghana so that all the presidents around Africa that always die in plane, or they always die in Paris, or they always die in some hospital abroad. They will come and die in Accra because you will have the best of hospitals there to help them. Why are African leaders so selfish? Why are they incompetent? Why are they behaving as if they are cursed? Why can't they just think? Even high school students know that $1 billion is good enough to transform some of these West African country economy. We will use that to build a house for a god, a colonial god. I don't even want to go into that so that people who have faith will not be hurt. But this is unfortunate. I believe Jesus Christ don't even want that house from him. And I believe God don't want that house from him. When people are dying in his country, they need jobs. He will build a house. One of the things I've learned in the scriptures of people, of believers, they said God does not dwell in temples. He does not dwell in temples. So why are you guys building the magnificent building? When European build these kind of buildings, they use it for economic gain. Go to Rome. These cathedrals that are built in Rome, millions of people visit there every year, and they generate revenue from that. The Holy Shrine in Saudi Arabia, you know how many millions of Muslims visit there a year? Saudi Arabia, without oil, just for the visit alone of believers, they are able to, their economy will be okay. They make billions of dollars each year for pilgrimage. You are building the cathedral. Who is going to visit that place? Are the poor people? The same poor people around the country, they will go there and pray for job. Now I understand what somebody said. Africans will use $1 billion to build a house to God and go into that house and start praying for job. They will go in that same $1 billion house and start asking God for job. Edward Amara, your final comment on this. Is it gay? Is it gay? I'm really annoyed.
Yeah, my final comment. Somebody, I think this
I can change the life of our people.
Someone I'm seeing like Francis C. Wilson. Francis C. Wilson said, both of you and Nana are missing the point. God told Nana to build a continental, a cathedral. He definitely did not say use the people's money. What we are saying here, you may be right, because opinion is like a birth certificate. Everybody owns the right to one. In short, what we are saying here is misusing the economy of the country. God did not mandate him to misuse or to corruptly take. In fact, he's using his whim and caprice because he's being placed in an area of position. That is
why didn't he build it when he was in opposition? God didn't
exactly
speak to him.
That is what I'm saying here. So definitely, all what he's doing, he's creating a havoc, doing the wrong investment. As he rightly stated, neither God nor the people will appreciate him, because the money he's using is not pure money. If he had wanted to do this, he would have done it while he was in opposition. He would have done it when he even retired. We cannot use that type of investment in this type of crisis time. And yet, he believes and thinks that he's solving the people's problem. People in Africa problem is definitely not religion. Religion is responsible for the entire problem into Africa. Our problem is not religion. Rather, religion is the thing that is creating problem into Africa. This is what people do not want to understand. Africa, we are all religious into our heart, but when you try now to put religion on your forehead, you create problem. Look at that. How can the whole president mismanage, misuse, corruptly take money that belong almost to the entire country to invest it into, just because his own dream? He would have put this thing to parliament and maybe let them debate it and see whether it will have the approval of others. People are there who are ATRO, they do not believe into Jesus or Muhammad. People are there who are infidels. They don't even believe in the existence of God. People are there who are Muslim, people are there who are Christian. Let them see that who will have granted it. None. So is he using the whole initiative to corrupt the country? I think this is a huge blunder that Nana is definitely making.
Imagine if a Muslim come to power, he say Allah told him to build
exactly
another one. Then if a traditionally come to power, he said the ancestor told him to build a shrine, a $1 billion shrine. Where are we going to go? Some people are even saying that he's not using the country money. We don't care. The fact that he used his office, his position, and influence to generate that money is corruption.
It's corruption.
You see? Yeah, definitely. Edward, that I don't know if you, let us take the third one before we go for break here. The UN chief shocked by Morocco migrant violence. Tell us about this. I heard something over the during the week, like I think about 100 or 30 something. I can't tell the exact number of
Well,
migrants.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
The figure
mostly
is
from
conflicting. The
yeah
figure is
from
conflicting.
okay,
Yes.
okay. Are they from the West African
Human,
region, and why were they killed? Tell us.
yeah. Morocco is very close to Spain, and Spain in general is close to Africa. And they have an island over there, Amelia, where we have our migrant committing Africans who actually want to get immigrated into Europe. They normally converge there, and there is a kind of what iron gate between that military land and Morocco. And it is being guided by both the Moroccan security and the Spanish guard. But on Friday, news from around the world emanate that over 200,000 or 2,000 migrants forced their way to cross the border. In so doing, initially we had about 18 people, 27 people actually lost their life. But Morocco and Spain are protesting for their territorial integrity and the wrong gathering of Africans who are using that particular route to ensure that they can go into European world illegally. And now they are not watching at the human right. They are not watching at the people who they took. Rather, they are only saying they use the right channel to go through. And Morocco and Spain equally have the right to defend themselves. But they are claiming that it's stampede. Agreed. Because when people move into such crowd, you must expect that a stampede must happen. Shared on social media saw the Moroccan guide or police or security with batons beating the civilians to death, and they condemn the act. Now, both Morocco and Spain are claiming that they are not responsible. But social media messages, videos that we are taken that particular day, pictures clearly show the Moroccan police and that of Spain creating a havoc. But unfortunately, the death happened on the Moroccan side because they tried about 140 Moroccans police officers received serious injury. Over 27 civilians lost their life. But all of those who lost their life are Africans. This draws our attention. We all know Morocco. Morocco is a selfish and unscrupulous country. You can remember the Western Sahara. Up to now, they do not want to grant them their autonomy. Then this same Morocco once decided to join the European Union. They refused her because she's found on the continent of Africa. And we are all seeing it is not Morocco alone. We are immigrants or Africans are trying to get themselves immigrated into Europe. But normally the news that comes out of Morocco is very dire. Now they are qualifying this heinous act based on the violation of the Moroccans territorial independence right and even the Spanish people. But this is the kind of situation where Africa is facing, and all emanate from the failed government that we have in almost each of our countries in Africa. Because had Africa been able to provide a stable government that actually meet the desire of people. Maybe one would have decided that I am going out in Europe, but it could only have been on visitation, not to corruptly take yourself out of Africa and get into Europe. But Spain, Italy, Morocco, Algeria, these countries like Libya, we had a sharp boundary with our Western world. We are having political crisis into Libya. Of course, Mali is not too, but they also use the route of Mali to get into those places. So based on this information that we are getting, I think it is high time the human rights institution involved into it. UN chief only condemn, but since it is Africa, you do not even expect them to take this issue serious, like what is happening today in Europe, especially between Ukraine and what and Russia. It is because Africans are less considered, less valued, maybe less concentrated on. You are having other places when they face issues like this, thorough investigation will be done, and that country will be fully punished. But ironically, it is an African against an African. Morocco against an African, but it is only the complexion that changes. So UN may condemn, but Morocco has done hideous things more than this, and they have gone cut free, unpunished. And it did not even happen in European world. It happened on this side here. So the Spanish people are just claiming that they have the right to defend their territorial integrity, and nobody has the right to directly come into their country without having the permission to doing so. Moroccans are saying these people converge on our soil illegally, and they tend to use our place to invade themselves or to unlawfully go into Spain, and the result was a stampede, but they did not kill them. But all the video, the social media message, and whatsoever thing is happening, you may condemn, but it's a trend that will continue, and it will continue because Africa has not been able to fix our problem. And youth from Sierra Leone, Liberia, Guinea, all over the country are using the like of Mali, Algeria, Morocco, then Libya to get themselves into Spain or into Western or other West African countries. It is because the situation just look like what is happening today. I know that even the Western world are feeling the punch of the fear crisis, but they are producing certain things on their own. I think transportation may become may be somehow expensive, but most of their domestic product cost to remain the same because of one or two things. But it may go high, but it may not go high as because they are producing it locally, though they use fear to produce some of these things. So we are expecting prices of commodities, of goods and services to be increased, but not as compared to Africa, where almost everything is being imported. Even the fear that we use imported, what we eat is being imported. So you are seeing the current situation is exacerbating the situation, even forcing our youth in Africa to still find their way into Europe. And those areas where they use as youth, as route, are definitely not safe. And Morocco is one of the countries that hate even to see their own black African brothers. If you see yourself, so have you seen? So race, normally, that is just sometimes when people condemn the whites because they discriminate people of color, they are right. But we are even having our brothers who are Arabs who stay into Africa. When they get there, just because Kelly, your color is quite different from them, they will treat you like any market dog.
The
So
Arabs are not our brothers.
they are them, in fact, they do not even take them out to because it is just geographically they have been wrongly found themselves into the northern part of Africa, and because of continental affiliation, they are still considered as African, but they do not rate us in any way. You may see Arab into any of these typically black African countries, they are safe. But watch at what is happening today in Somalia. What happens because in Somalia, you watch as South Sudan also, all those crises are happening over. It is because of that mix of race. So they have not still been able to accept us wholeheartedly. And as long as they have not accepted us wholeheartedly, you cannot use their channel to go through Europe. They will kill you. So these are some of the problems. Race, that is one. They hate to see black, a typical black person, they can treat you anyhow. They will be raped, torture, whatsoever thing. And the force, maybe we are also, let us have the fact that the invasion of Africans into their countries is creating social problem, economic problem, whatsoever thing. But these people can easily be apprehended and presented to authorities rather than to treat them like low animals. Just kill them like any bush animal. It's wrong.
Definitely, definitely. What I'm not surprised, at what happened in Morocco. It's happening daily in North Africa. It's happening daily on a daily basis. Only when when Western media bring it to light, that's when we know about it. African media are silent. They like to discuss cheese and hamburger. They like to discuss Ukraine. They love to discuss Versace, all the latest new things in Europe. They don't know how their citizens are dying daily in North Africa. They've been enslaved by these pale Bedouin Arab in the desert. It's happening on a daily basis. In fact, there's slavery ongoing in Mauritania. Many people are not aware that Mauritania is one of the last strongholds of slavery in Northwest Africa. The Mauritanian Islamic authorities in that country have been condemned several times for them trying to use the religion to maintain that black people will continue to be enslaved in Mauritania. It will be a topic of another day. We'll discuss it here when we have the time. We'll talk about slavery in the Arab countries. But right now, let's focus on Morocco. You see, Morocco has been a transit point. We understand migrants are trying to use that route to get illegally to Europe. We understand this. Migrant crisis is a global issue. Even in Mexico, US border is happening. It's happening everywhere around the world. You see, it is a United Nations charter that if anyone feel threatened in their country or they don't feel safe, their life is threatened, they are being persecuted, they have the right to flee from one country to another. There is no legal way to do it. If yeah, they say legal migration, it's just a phrase they are using that make no sense. When someone is under threat, do they have the time to go through your legality? They have to escape. It is a right. It is a basic human right, and it is enshrined in the United Nations Charter that everyone have the right to flee from their country to another country. Okay, that is a right. We can criticize those migrants for what they are doing, but let us understand, first of all, that all these countries are signatory to the United Nations Charter, that human beings have the right to escape from one country to another for any reasons, including persecution, security, and anything else. Okay, people can move. You see, and people should stop saying, oh, the migrants are the problem. Migrants are just victims. One of the reasons why it becomes difficult for people to immigrate is because countries that are doing well are making it difficult for people to migrate legally. If a student today in West Africa decides to apply for a visa to go to the United States, they will take his visa fees. They will require you to pay some money. After everything, you've gone through the rightful procedure, you say all the truth, they deny you. They make it difficult. But when the son of the senator, the son of the president, the son of a minister apply from the same visa, same document, they grant the person the visa. So what do you expect the poor masses to do? They feel that the only way they can be able to legally travel from one country to another, either for opportunity, for job, for education, they have to go illegally. They have to force themselves in. That's what is causing the migrant crisis. The rich countries are making it difficult for poor people to move around. So the poor people are trying to force their way in. That's just all happening. These people are not invaders. They are not terrorists. They are not coming with drugs. They are just looking for a basic way of living. They are just looking for greener pasture. So they should be treated as humans. Even if a country immigration policy does not accept them, they should be tried. They should follow the rightful procedure. They should be deported to their own country with dignity. They shouldn't be treated as if they are animals, as if they are terrorists, as if they violate a certain kind of rule. Okay, why do you guys sign the United Nations Charter if you don't agree for people to migrate to your country or flee into your country? These things are normal. When we fled from Liberia in the 90s to Ivory Coast and other places, did we follow any procedure? We passed through the bushes and we ran away from gunshots, and we find ourselves all around Ivory Coast, Guinea, and Sierra Leone. Nobody was waiting for any procedure at the border. This is a human problem. So I think this country are disingenuous. Now, specifically to North Africa, these North Africans are practicing white supremacy. And you have to understand that white supremacy doesn't deal with just white people alone. White supremacy is an ideology. The idea that the lighter your skin, the better you are. The lighter your skin, the most intelligent you are. The lighter your skin, the more civilized you are. The lighter your skin, the most beautiful you are. It is an ideology and a culture and a belief. White people are the originator of this belief and culture. The Arabs and other people who are in the middle are worse than white people, because in order for them to prove that they are white, they have to hate you, the black. In order for them to prove their whiteness, they have to be very brutal against a darker person. Even among the black people, lighter skinned people tend to be very violent and aggressive against darker skinned people in order for them to prove their whiteness and their affiliation to whiteness. It is an ideology. It is a culture. It is a behavior. Okay, I can go on and on to explain to you how this ideology works. Even in our African society, lighter people have always given opportunities than the darker skinned people. So this behavior is what the Arabs are practicing. It's a white supremacy behavior. So they think that when they see black people, they are seeing people who are beneath them. Even when a white person, a black person is more intelligent than them, more educated than them, they naturally feel that they are better than that person. It's a condition, you see. So black people, the challenge is on our side. If we don't fix our countries, if we don't fix our culture, we don't fix our own dignity, the whole world will spit on us. They will destroy because white supremacy put us at the bottom of the ladder. So we need to redefine this status quo. Otherwise, this is going to continue forever and ever. I don't care whether you are Muslim or you are Hindu or you are Buddhist or you are traditionally. When you find yourself in an Arab country, as long as your skin is dark, you will be treated very, very badly. That is the fact. So, Edward, that's all I have to say in that area. I think we will go for a short break. And when we come back, we will have one more topic to discuss. Please stay with us.
At Focus on Liberia, we discuss everything Liberia, from education to politics, arts and culture, entertainment, agriculture, history, religion, family, and technology. Focus on Liberia uncovers and showcases the best of Liberia and shows the world the truth about Liberia. We educate, elevate, and promote all things Liberia. We conduct interviews, panel discussions, debates, and more. Tune in to Focus on Liberia on Facebook and YouTube and be a part of the stories that make up the news.
This is Focus on Liberia, and I am Dennis Jar.
Welcome back. Thank you for watching Focus on Liberia. This is Roundtable Africa. This is our 56th edition of Roundtable Africa, and I'm Sekou Kela, your host here of the program. And I'm here with my co-host, Edward Amara, the West African correspondent for Focus on Liberia. And we are discussing here stories that made headlines in Africa. And we've discussed a lot here today. Mali presidential poll have been the presidential poll in Mali have been pushed to February 2024. We've also discussed dozens arrested in Ghana for the cost of living protest. We've just discussed the UN chief shock by the Morocco migrant violence. A group of immigrants were killed in that country. Is raising eyebrow about racism, culture, migration, economics, and these things are all interplayed. And this is what the global crisis looks like. So we're discussing the last topic here, why ex-French colonies are joining the Commonwealth. Now, Edward, this is another interesting topic. I think we touched on it last week a little bit. And now here we are, Gabon, Togo. These are former French colonies. They belong to the Francophone culture. They use the CFA currency of France, but yet they are fleeing and trying to join the Commonwealth. They are trying, is it an escape from French neo-colonial policies, or these are people looking for viable economic partners for development? What is happening here?
Well, if you ask me, I think one thing I need to say, you watch at the two policies. The French came with policy of direct rule, like assimilation. You accept that you are a Frenchman across Africa into their communes, into their colony. Britain have what they call a policy of indirect rule. They will rule you through your leaders, but they will be on the edge of affairs. And you will not be considered a British person. Rather, you can either be considered as a British subject, still maintaining your normal citizenship. If you are not under their direct control, where they just extend their proceed, they call you, they are in the protectorate, meaning you are in the protectorate, you are part of the British protected people. France now, that of their own policy, they rule you directly and they assimilate you. And assimilating you, what they normally do, they allow their culture to dominate you. So everything about you will be French. You'll not be considered as an African again. So these are like French citizens abroad. It was good. Let us see, even from the struggle of nationalism and colonialism, we understood that Britain speaking West African countries or Britain speaking African countries
Are you there, Edward? Edward, I think you're having network problem. Edward, are you there?
fought for independence earlier than the French.
Edward, I think you go back out and come back in. I think you go out and come back in while we wait for Edward Amara. Folks, we are discussing here ex-French colonies are joining the Commonwealth. So we heard, as you may have followed it recently on the news, the Commonwealth have their head of state meeting in Kigali, Rwanda. Okay, Edward is back. So they had their Commonwealth meeting, head of state meeting in Kigali, Rwanda, and French countries are trying to join this economic alliance. So we have Rwanda itself, which was a French colony. Of course, then you have Togo from West Africa, you have Gabon from Central Africa, and these two countries are trying to join the Commonwealth. Edward Amara, welcome back. Can you hear me?
Yeah, it's the same problem that we are seeing. Our government, this is what they normally do. Even our internet service you pay for, you hardly use it according to your own convenience. As I was saying, so even when we view our nationalism first starts into British-speaking West African countries or British-speaking countries instead of French-speaking countries, it is because that ideology was being constructed. I am the Frenchman, but you are looking like an African. You are not white. So these are considered French citizens abroad. Now, this situation has compounded. It gave France the levity, the opportunity to manipulate, construct the French mentality, and they started. Let us take a common example like Togo. Since independence in 1956, Togo has only known the Nasimbi family from Eadema, where you are now seeing him, his son, Foreign Yasimbi, is here. So from Eadema, you are seeing Foreign Yasimbi Steve. So all about them is that same family. You watch at Gabon, the Bongo family are the only people the Gabonese known to be on the. So it is like an inheritance, the family property. So what French did, they had a total dominance over the society where they took over. Even in their currency, like Israel, now I'm using leons. You watch in Franc Guinea, what they will ask you, they will tell you Franc Guinea. So something about French is there. They say for all that thing. Everything is about. So they are still that dominant. So do we understand that politically they are considered to be independent? They have themselves, but still France is still viable into their country, controlling all sectors. So they have realized, even when you watch at it, you watch at the wave that is not developing. Mali has accused France of being responsible for the political instability over there. Investigation have been done. France have been choosing to, it has been proven that France is definitely wrong. Burkina Faso is complaining about them. Ivory Coast is similarly complaining. Then you are watching at Mali is also complaining. Then even abroad, you watch at Rwanda, join them. You watch at Gabon, it's now a member. Gabon and Togo, the 56, the 55 and 56 member. So the French policy of dominating a very small country. Britain is the same thing as France, but there is that levity. There's some amount of democracy being fed into British West Africa compared to French. So even they colonized them mentally and they had everything to control. You cannot even decide your money. You watch at Zimbabwe, they have their own money name. Without anything limited to British name must not be on their money. When you go into Guinea, they'll tell you Franc Guinea, you go to SEPA, all of these things are there. So even the popular call of the youth. Before this time, countries we have nationalism has not fully taken place. The system has not been revived. They still live with that French colonial mentality. They are being brainwashed. They still choose to live according to the French policy, had little or no care. But youths that were born in the 90s are now taking over. The wave of democracy is blowing across Africa. And you are still seeing government into French-speaking West Africa countries that have been there since in the 80s. So this thing is coming a bit. So now
But Edward, sorry for interrupting. Why would they tend to benefit from the Commonwealth that they do not get
France,
from the Francophone? Is it not changing of slave master? What do you think?
it's still slave master, and they will still have access to the economy of the area because everything is being tiled around them. And the having regime, whom since independent is the same family. So they have strong family ties with this thing. So it's like a well-constructed root of corruption being created with those ruling family directly with France. And youth are now coming in. Popular call, rally against this thing, the mentality, French domination, French in everything into it. They determine it's a very small country by size, even by population, but they have managed to dominate this thing. So it's like that yoke, that part of people have now realized that it was a bondage. The treaty being signed, that assimilation policy has definitely failed them because they assimilate, they allow France to have a say into their government. And mind you, France is responsible for all the political harbors into French-speaking West African countries. Those long-time regime, France is responsible. Those sudden change of regime, France is responsible. So it's like they want at least to feel somehow liberal, to feel somehow connected, to make certain determination into the way things happen. Instead of everything France, 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 France. And now, if any government that goes against France, it means your time is up for grab. They can either use, look, Skelly, let us just be frank. Look at Dumbuya, who is today in Guinea. Where was he? It's France. Goethe and others, they have connection with France. Even this guy who took over Demba, who is now ruling in Burkina Faso, has connection with France. So they are responsible for all of this instabilization. So instead of allowing other African countries to become destabilized, they have now choosing to join other countries. And those countries that have been destabilized, in fact, the like of Dumbuya, the like of Gotha, they know very well that they came to power through France support. But they will only continue to be in power if they continue to maintain a relationship with France. The day they fall out, they are going. So knowing that having the backing of France, the day you negate on your promise with them, you are going. They have decided to go against them and re-establish it. So those who they corrupted went into contract with them, they are the one that anything that Dumbuya tell you about France, take it for granted. Anything that Goethe guy tells you about France, take it for granted because their root is definitely from there. They took a long time over there. They know the mission that they came with, and they know where they are heading to, and they know the consequences of violating it. That is why you are seeing them today. They are rushing to join Russia. So France is an unscrupulous country who has been involved into corrupt this, and maybe French-speaking West African countries, at least they want to identify themselves as Togolese, as Gabonese, as Guineans, as Malians, not to be just yoked into the French mentality. That's the thing that they are the Moses.
Definitely, Elua. It's well for me. I do not see this as any kind of sign of progress. I just see it as African leaders doing what they can do best. That is to exchange colonial master from one colonial master to the other. Yes, Commonwealth is an economic bloc that has been built, but to the who benefits from the Commonwealth? How does that affect the life of the common people in Africa? Because when Europeans join an organization, they join in the national interest of their people. When African leaders join organization, they join for their selfish interest first, then the nation later. So these are things that we must be very suspicious about. Not too long ago, the African Union signed the African Continental Free Trade Area Agreement to allow the freedom of goods, and trade between African countries, to remove these tariffs so that Africa will be doing trade within itself, because it was said that 80% of African trade was with Europe, and Africa was just having less than 25% trade among themselves, which is so bad. In European countries, about 90% of their trade is among themselves, European Union. So how come Africa is just less than 25% trading among themselves, and all their businesses is done with people abroad? So the African Continental Free Trade Area wanted to change this paradigm so that Africans begin to trade among themselves. There'll be freedom of goods and all that. Then later there'll be freedom of movement of people, because when the goods move, people move. This is leading to the idea of integration and the Pan-African idea. Now we are seeing African countries running to all these organizations called Commonwealth and what have you. I suspect that these organizations want to sabotage the continental free trade area. They want to flood the African market with their goods. Chinese are also planning to do that, so that instead of African local industry to develop and produce their own goods to trade among themselves, most of these goods will be coming from China and Britain, because Britain just broke ties with the European Union. So they are now looking for new markets. And the new market they are looking for is in Africa, emerging markets. So this is why now they are pulling these countries into their so-called Commonwealth. So I'm very suspicious about this, because I know Europeans have contradiction in their ideology. They do one thing and they believe another. Their democracy is like that, their religious belief is like that, their politics, their science is like that. They do one thing and they believe something else. So if you are dealing with them, you are not skeptical enough, you will not be able to grab it. That's why Chinese are able to understand Chinese understand European hypocrisy. They can preach human right to you and they kill you tomorrow morning. Okay? If you don't understand that about white people, then you are doing business with them, you are wasting your time. Okay, when they're about to kill you in the afternoon, they smile with you in the morning. So this is what you need to understand, how their geopolitics works. So if they start inviting you into their Commonwealth, be very suspicious of what they are planning to do with the African Continental Free Trade Area. So I believe these Francophone countries should have been focusing on their own development instead focusing on their own development and building the common market among African nations instead of partnering with these countries, Great Britain, that is only about its own selfish interest. Edward Amara, so that's my own contribution to that. I will read the comments here very quickly, and if you have something to add to these comments, then we will call it a day. The comments are not many, so it will be easy for us to read them. So we have Yoki Musa. He's saying hello to us. Yes, hello to you, Mr. Musa. Then most African people love power, but they didn't deliver their development well to the public. That's true. Nancy Coley said he should build it from his pocket, not from the tax dollars. So I think she's talking about Nana Akufo-Addo, who wants to build $1 billion cathedral for Mother Mary. He's saying that he should take the money from his pocket and not from the national wealth. We have here Dauda Logan say, excellent, Edward. And then we have Yoki Musa again said, remember when my grandmother told me that Ghana was one of the poorest countries by them, and even Sierra Leone and donated to Ghana, but now Ghana is a developing country. Well, that's what they say. Francis C. Wilson said, both of you and Nana are missing the point. God told Nana to build a cathedral. He definitely did not say use the people's money. African leaders are so ridiculous. Well, we don't know if God told him that for sure. So we have here, or he just wants to show his ego. Inisul Bond, sorry if I mispronounced the name. He said, hello, my people. Hello to you back. We have Elizabeth Pecquetier. She said, I'm watching and listening from Paris, France. Thank you for listening from France. So true. And then she have a comment here. Sorry, I'm trying to grab. So Elizabeth again said, ideology that destroyed the black man's mind. Majority of black men trust the white man. I think here she's talking about the white supremacy ideology, where people think the lighter your skin, the whiter you are, the most intelligent you are, the most successful you should be, and the more beautiful you are. That ideology is not only in white people, like we said, even black people have now copied that mentality, and it has become an issue. So that even lighter people are more aggressive to black than the white. So Francis Wilson said, the indigenous American said many moons ago, the white man speaks with the fork or fork to go where. I don't know what you're trying to say. So Edward Mara, do you have anything to say about the comments? Edward, are you there? Edward is having network problem. Edward, I think you have to go back in and come back. Well, my final comments for me is to Nana Akufo-Addo, the president of Ghana, who wants to use $1 billion to build a cathedral because he had a dream. I will tell you, Mr. President, if you ever come across this video by chance, $1 billion can build roads, can build some of the best infrastructure for Ghana. $1 billion can generate electricity and make Ghana to be an industrial country. Diversify your power sources, hydro, if possible, nuclear, use wind, use solar to generate power in that country and bring industrialization. $1 billion can build your health sector, build some of the best health facilities and hospitals in Africa to make you attractive to the rest of the world. $1 billion can build industry and bring jobs. I don't think God needs any house from you that costs $1 billion, especially from the money of the people. You should have built this house for God when you were not president. You should have built this house for God after you became president, not when you are president for people and people with different beliefs. Now you want to use the opportunity of your office to please your God. I think you should build road for people. God will be more happy. God will be very happy if you use that $1 billion and build good roads for kids, for them to travel safely and go to school so that they don't die from accidents. They will be very happy if you build hospitals so that mothers give birth. They don't have to die from complications. I think God will be very happy. God will be very happy if you use that $1 billion and improve the power sector and bring electricity to Ghana so that there will be industries, people will get jobs, young people will don't have to come to Europe and suffer and go to white people country. They will now have job in their own country and they will relax and they don't have to travel thousands of miles to look for job. I think these are things you should be focusing on and not building a temple for God where people will go in the same temple and start begging for job, begging God for job in a temple that costs $1 billion. It makes no sense. Also, to Morocco, those who kill migrants in Morocco, you should understand that the United Nations Charter gives every human being the right to escape to any country. If you feel threatened, there is war in your country, whether it be genocide, persecution, anything, you have the right to escape to another country for safety. This is a United Nations law. So nobody should maltreat people because they are migrants or because they run to another country. This is a United Nations Human Rights Charter, and we all have the right to do so. So those who are persecuting migrants, they are committing crime against humanity. And I think people should be very, very cautious of countries that are against migrants and countries that are always killing migrants. They are violating human rights and they are violating the United Nations Human Rights Charter. So with that, folks, I want to say thank you for watching Roundtable Africa. Edward Amara, I think he won't come back because the network, he will join us definitely next week. So thank you for watching. We will see you next week. And when we come back, we'll bring you the best of the best as we always do. Bye-bye.
We are Liberia. Liberia is our home. Liberia people. Oh yeah.
DJ House of Fame. Yes, I like this one. Him alright, yes, him alright.
Our children, they are future leaders. Our children, they are future leaders. Remember, our children, they are future leaders. When we get away, no more. The way they want tomorrow. Remember, our children, they are future leaders. Our women, they are our father. They are our father, they are our father in progress. Immorality, 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 immorality.
Yes, one and win.
I want you to know they are future leaders for tomorrow. When we get where no more, they will do what tomorrow.